Now, the American government, through its ambassador to Uganda, a lady known as Natalie E. Brown, the messages that they are sending out to American businessmen and investors is that the Ugandan business climate is not conducive for investment. It is because of the ongoing situation that has been happening in the country over the past couple of years. We all understand that one of the biggest development partners in Uganda is the United States of America, contributing close to $1 billion per year in assistance to the country. This also includes other countries like United Kingdom and other countries in the European Union. Now, America's decisions when it comes to investment really matters, because being a development partner and the biggest contributor in terms of aid, well, it means that whatever they are looking at, or whatever, they also have their concerns on what is going on in the country. Now, some of you might not have been aware, but there was an online event known as the Uganda Diaspora Business Expo and Homecoming. So this event, I don't know the organizers, if at all they didn't know what was taking place in Uganda, because I really don't understand why people would organize such events in this kind of climate that we are in, encouraging people to come and make investments, to come and do business in Uganda. The situation that Uganda is in today is only conducive for Chinese business investment, where people do not have, or where these investors don't have any sort of corporate social responsibility, as well as where they can repatriate their profits as much as they want and as much as they can, and where they can come and beat people up without government interference, and where the government would actually protect such investors than protecting its own citizens, than also negotiating things like salaries and wages and things of that sort. So America is one of the countries that has, of course, been interested in investing in the country, but the environment is so unconducive, and it has left the Ugandan government and the Ugandan economy to depend more on American aid than depending more on American business as well as American investors. Because as a country, I think Uganda would prosper much better if at all it depended on Western investment in terms of business than depending more on Western aid, which comes with a lot of restrictions and things of that sort. But as we speak today, Kenya is the leading country that is taking business away from Uganda in terms of investors. And Uganda, we are only left with investors just such as the Chinese, the Huawei, and such kind of thing. Anyway, at the Business Expo, the U.S. ambassador to Uganda, known as Natalie E. Brown, was invited to give a keynote address to speak about investment and to encourage American investors to come and invest in Uganda. Now, it was very interesting, the statements that this lady gave, and I will read these statements to you for you to make an assumption, or for you to understand for yourself if at all these statements the lady made were actually calling upon the investors to come and invest in Uganda, or to stay away from Uganda until the situation gets back to normal, until the situation is conducive enough. All right, so I will read from her keynote speech and what she said. This is what she said. The United States supports the democratic process itself. As Secretary Pompeo recently stated, when he asserted the United States' commitment to supporting free, fair, and inclusive elections. This includes ensuring the safety of all candidates, respect for the rule of law, and impartiality of authorities in charge of managing elections. This election is about the will of the Ugandan people. The United States has no agenda other than to help ensure that the Ugandan people participate and can cast their vote for their candidates of their choice. We support free, fair, credible, and a peaceful process. The United States, along with other likely-minded democratic countries, will continue to pay close attention to actions of individuals and organizations who interfere in the democratic process to instigate violence against the civilian population before, during, and after the elections. We will not hesitate to consider consequences for those found to be responsible for election-related violence or undermining the democratic process. She furthermore said, application of the law or actions by authorities that favor one candidate over another, one candidate or party over another, human rights violations such as mass shootings of unarmed civilians and arbitrary arrests of activists and repression of the civil society, including restricting the ability of the media to operate freely and intentionally misapplying terrorism laws to suppress respected civil society organizations, violates both the letter and the spirit of the Ugandan constitution. These actions caused the government of the United States of America to question the fundamental basis of our partnership, and they certainly have a chilling effect on the business and investment climate of the country. So, those are the statements she gave in her speech while speaking to the business community who are looking to invest in Uganda. These are Ugandans living out there that had organized their their business, online business event in order to attract investment and attract business people to come from America and come and invest in Uganda. But then, of course, Natalie Ibran was invited as the keynote speaker. We know that this ambassador has been very, very vocal on the issues of democracy, on the issues of good governance, as well as especially corruption. We all understand that whereas she mentions corruption, she should understand that the Minister of Foreign Affairs himself, Sam Kahamba Kutesa, was listed amongst the corrupt officials of Uganda during the Patrick Ho case that happened a few years ago, and I'm just interested as to why they haven't taken any action on our Minister of Foreign Affairs. I actually laughed last time when Kahamba Kutesa actually replied to Representative Engo about the letter that they had written to recommend Magnitsky sanctions on a few individuals in Museveni's government, because that gentleman himself, Sam Kutesa, has no credibility and has no moral authority to actually reply Representative Engo, because himself is a wanted criminal in America for having solicited a bribe from Patrick Ho in return to get favors from the Ugandan government. So, as we see these things happening, of course, it shows a very, very uncertain and unclear future for the economy of Uganda and for the aid that we have been receiving from the United States of America. Whatever happens on January 14th, especially on the outcome of the things that are going to happen and what we are seeing that is happening now, it shows that we are going the Zimbabwean way. It shows that our currency is going to lose value. Investors, even the few investors that we have, they are all going to run away. You have seen different companies have left the country and so on and so forth. So the reason as to why these people are preaching peace, they know that they think that people are going to become violent and they are going to become rowdy and so on and so forth, and then it would create unfavorable investment climate. But that is not the only thing, because these people are actually making it upon themselves in order to prompt people to become violent. Why are you restricting media? Why are you favoring one political candidate over the other? So the Americans have warned their investors that if you invest in Uganda, these are the risks. Actually, even if you go to the American website and read the 2020 investment climate statements that they made, on section 3, where it lists about the legal regime, it says this. On paper, that is if you are an American investor and you want to put money in Uganda and you go to an American website to read about Uganda, and then you come up across section 3 talking about the legal regime. On paper, Uganda's legal and regulatory systems are generally transparent and non-discriminatory and comply with international norms. But in practice, bureaucratic hurdles and corruption significantly impact all investors, but with disproportionate effect on foreigners, learning to navigate a parallel informal system. US investors have alleged that the endemic corruption means that competitors often pay bribes to win awards. So in return, we miss out on good investors just because competitors have now paid awards to the government through the informal parallel structure or system that is there. We have this system. You see, I was listening to Professor Kanyehamba. He said recently that when they sat down and wrote the 1995 Constitution, Museveni and other people stood up and said this is the best constitution they have ever seen in the entire African continent. But afterwards, what happened to the constitution afterwards? The best constitution, in fact, that's what Museveni said. The constitution that had the age limit, the constitution that had the term limits, and everything that had checks and balances of power, in a state, all were taken out by Museveni, who in 1995 said it was the best constitution. So even on paper, the Ugandan government is so good. But in practice, they have a completely different informal system that runs things. That's why you see today we have a security system where we have the police, UPDF, and so on and so forth. But then we have an informal system known as the SFC that takes over the entire security apparatus and then gets things moving. Now, if you are an American and you have been looking to invest money in Uganda, I don't have much to say to you. Your ambassador just told you what is happening in the country. So it is upon you if you want to come and risk, because for as long as Museveni is in power, 35 years, nothing is going to change. Museveni would rather depend on American aid than be dependent on American business investment. That has been his game. But on the Chinese side, he would rather depend on the Chinese, on the Chinese business, which of course is not profitable, which of course does not observe corporate social responsibility, which has no transparency at all and things of that sort. You get it? So he has them into the country that they just do everything, whatever they want. They just repatriate profits and so on and so forth. So if you want to invest in the country, I think you know what to do. So for me, I won't say anything much. That's the information that I wanted to pass by. So clearly, the ambassador is warning Americans from investing in Uganda, which is really interesting. Have a great day, or whatever you are in now, daytime, night. Bye-bye. Subscribe to the channel, and we shall be giving you more information that is coming towards our way. So many things are happening. We have to keep up. We have to edit. We have to do a lot of work. So for now, I will leave you here and enjoy the rest of your time. Bye.